Arsenal are on a new level as far as I'm concerned. Arsenal are on a new level. I still think you're one of the best teams in Europe. I think you're definitely in this title race. You beat Everton. Again, only 1-0, but you got the hoodoo off your back. And you beat Spurs this weekend at home, which I believe you will at this moment in time. And you spoke, again, we're not 10 games in. We're only 6 games in at the end of this week. But it will be a better start to the season. If you beat Spurs, you'll be on 16 points, which is 1 point better than what you had this time last year. So in terms of a points accumulation and start to the season, the only element that probably won't be as good come close of business Sunday after 6 games is you'll probably have scored slightly less goals. You're currently on 9 and you're on 14 after 6 games last year. I can't see you scoring 5 or 6 past them, but only 4 goals conceded and potentially onto more points. I don't think the football's been as scintillating, but your control of games, the lack of opportunities people have had against you, your ability to win these games when you're not even at full throttle yet, the quality now coming through from Vieira, the brilliance, as you said, one of your best players in Trossard at the weekend, Jesus still to come back in, and I think an upgrade on goalkeeper in Raya. Arsenal, for me, are going to move on to another level this season, bruv. I think you guys are really, really good. You should be proud of what Arteta's doing so far this season.
You said that with such a straight face that I almost nearly believed what you were saying.
It's true.
Arsenal was scarier, yeah? Arsenal just got scarier. Arsenal are more scarier than last season.
You are more, as far as I'm concerned. Look, Liverpool and City have been scary. People say to me, "Why don't you do City and Liverpool scary videos?" Because you've been scary. You're still like it's been done. But Arsenal are better now than they were last year. 100% better.
Based on what?
Based on your control of games, the lack of opportunities that you're conceding.
Hold on,
you win. Let me finish. You win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues on your defense more so than you do on your goals being scored. And you've got 9 goals in 5 games, which isn't, it's not the best, but it isn't bad. I think more goals are going to come. And interestingly, your manager said it, and I think he's telling the truth. Nobody has a guaranteed spot. He dropped Kai Havertz when people said he wouldn't. He's moved Gabriel back into the defense as soon as his fitness levels have got to where they need to be. He's given Fabio Vieira a chance through meritocracy. He's given Raya a chance, but not thrown Ramsdale under the bus. I think his management at the beginning of the season has been brilliant. You've started off in second gear, reserving energy. You've got a big season ahead. But so far, when I look at Arsenal, you look a better, more controlled, and a team that isn't going to concede as many opportunities as you did last year. You look very good for me. Not scintillating in terms of blowing everyone away, but controlled and dangerous. You make games boring at times, and that's a sign of a champion.
So you're saying we're going to win it?
No, it's still my favourites, but I still think you're a different level this year. And
so
you know,
it's all for nothing then.
No, it isn't for nothing. It isn't for nothing. And I'll tell you why it's for nothing. I'm very consistent. What I want from Man United is to get back to a high level on a medium to long-term basis when you're always in the race. You could win it this year. You could win it. But so far, City, for the first time under Pep's tutelage, they're 5 wins from 5 in the Premier League. It's their greatest ever start to a Pep Premier League season. And they're on course, if they win the Premier League this year, to become the greatest Premier League team of all time, if they're not already that. So this is what I would say. Arteta's doing an amazing job competing right now against what could be the best manager and best team the Premier League has ever seen. You've got to cut a man a little bit of slack for that. But you guys are a very, very dangerous team. And I think if you keep growing, keep improving, you can win the Prem, you can win major trophies, and you can become successful. Because again, I would love my club to be where you guys are right now in terms of how you're playing, how you're controlling games, the harmony, the togetherness, the cohesion between boardroom, recruitment, the first team, the lack of anger from players when they're on the bench and they're not crying to their agents. I'm jealous. I'm genuinely jealous of how well run and the situation Arsenal find themselves in after a decade or so in the mud. It's an impeccable place to be. You've got to add the trophies, but we're assessing the season so far. Arsenal are on another level compared to last year, in my opinion.
Totally disagree. We're one Declan Rice injury away from having Jorginho and Havertz or Vieira as a double pivot. Let's just get real with it. Yeah, we're one Bukayo Saka injury away from playing who on the right wing. What, Jesus? We could put Jesus there. I actually would, personally, which count as what I've just said. But if Saka's out for a sustained period of time, i.e. 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, but I would actually personally drop Saka. Yeah, I think he's been poor this season. He don't look on it. Yeah, and that continues on from his form from back in the last season. Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you then strip down our squad, right, and actually have a look at our squad, Terry, how many defenders do we have? We've got Ben White, we've got Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. As much as I don't like Zinchenko, that is our best back four, as it stands, because Timber's out injured. Yeah, and Tierney's out on loan. But after that, what have we got? Tomiyasu, Kivior, and Cedric Suarez.
So, okay, go on.
So my point is, Saliba is, but it was Saliba's injury that cost us the league. No, it wasn't. It was the goalkeeper doing stupidness. Yeah, it was Saka's lack of form for the last 8 to 10 games. Yeah, it was his constant stupid substitutions. Overplaying Bukayo Saka all season is the reason Saka looks so off it since the back end of last season. Like when we're winning games comfortably, he plays 90 minutes. That is, and you said players are now not, everyone's not undroppable. He is, because this manager won't ever drop him. Saka.
Who?
Saka. He's the only one in that squad that we ain't got a proper like-for-like replacement for.
Can I say one thing?
Actually, that's a lie. That's a lie because I've just mentioned defenders. Yeah, but again, this comes back to the recruitment.
Again, like-for-like replacement. Yes, you've got nobody as good as Saka on that right-hand side because Saka is one of the best right-hand side attackers in Europe. It would be impossible to have someone at his level on your bench, in my personal opinion. However, you've got Trossard that can play there that you actually say is better technically than Saka. He's a better technical. Yeah, okay. So you've got Trossard that can play there, so that's a backup, and Gabriel Jesus that can both play on that right-hand side of that area. You could also, as a fourth choice option, have Fabio Vieira who goes there. When you see that Saka being dropped, I agree that his overall performances in games have not been at his usual standards so far this season. But do you want to know why I think he's class? Because even when he's on the periphery, even when he's not quite having it his own way, he's still the guy who is setting up and creating chances and getting those outputs. And that is a sign of a top-class player, that even when you're not in form, you're influencing a game. And I'm someone who has praised my own individuals for but he was bad today. Yeah, but he still was that match winner. He still was able to get you over that line. And yes, I know it was Trossard that scored, and what a strike it was. But that whole goal was a team goal. Quick corner taken to the edge of the box. I want to say it was Fabio Vieira to Odegaard to Saka to Trossard and in. Still, though, even if your players are not at their optimum best, they're still delivering. That is why, as a rival, neutral from this situation, you look dangerous. And my point to you is this: you could be 6 games. You got to beat what they fucking called Spurs this weekend. But if you're 6 games,
we're going to take them apart, by the way.
No, I think you will. But this is what I remember. Me and you spoke at the end of last season. You said after 10 games next season, we won't be anywhere near. I think your words were somewhere along the lines of, "Will be no."
I'll tell you exactly what I said.
You said we won't have as good a start as we had last year.
No, I never said that.
What did you say?
Last season, the first 10 games, we won 9 out of 10. Yeah. And I said we won't do that again this season.
Okay. And you might not quite do that, but you could be 6 games into it, so 60% of the way in, and have more points than you had last year. You guys are tracking towards a better start than last year, and you're not even in first gear. Sorry, like 5th gear, I suppose you'd call it, like top gear right now. I look at that, and there are problems still. There's little holes, and you can go, okay, we need to change this and change that. But if you look at what you complained about in the first 2 games, Kai Havertz got moved to the bench. Gabriel was back in the team. You're barely conceding chances. Yes, I think you've got to put the ball in the back of the net a little bit more, and I believe that will come. But I don't see, barring Saka maybe needing to be on the bench for a while, what else there is for you 5 games in, 6 games in after the Champions League this week to be overly frustrated, grumpy, or concerned.
Because I see the bigger picture, and I see it every year, and I have done for years and years and years, Terry. Last summer, I said we need a striker. Well, that's still the case now. Still the case now. If you look at some of the chances we could have had put in the back of the net at the weekend against Everton, Fabio Vieira puts one 3 yards out, fizzed one across the box. Where's Eddie Nketiah? Where is he? Oh, he was on the penalty spot. Why? Why are you not on your toes running into the pen? If that's Erling Haaland, that's 1-0. Yeah, it was 0-0 at that time. Trossard did one. Where's Eddie? Oh, he's not there again. Yeah, Kai Havertz when he came on. Yeah, it weren't the greatest of crosses, and it ended up going out of play as he whipped it. It went out for a goal kick. But again, if that's a top-level striker, Ivan Toney, Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, all three of them are at the back stick nodding that in. Where's Eddie? Oh, Eddie's not there. Or Jesus, whoever it was. I think Eddie was off at that point. But there's 3 chances straight there. If you go back to the previous games, I think it was the Palace game. Palace or Fulham, one of them games. Yeah, Saka put 2 great chances into the box. Great chance. Fizzed the ball in. Fizzed them in. 5-6 yards out. Where's Kai Havertz? Oh, he's on his heels. Like, these are chances that you have to take. And I always see the bigger picture. Cool, we might have more points. We might end up getting 9 out of 10. Whoopie-doo, great. But when you go deeper in this competition, and listen, because people just don't like the way I say it, because it hurts their feelings. Yeah, but again, I said last summer we needed a striker. That's still the case. I said we needed somebody to take their workload off of Bukayo Saka. That is still the case. Yes, we've got players that can play in them positions, but it's not ultimately their best position. Gabi Jesus, it's not his best position. Trossard, it's not his best position. Then when you go to what else I said we also need another midfielder. That's still the case now, even with Declan Rice, because we went and bought Kai Havertz. Even if we'd gone and signed somebody else that was half decent, we still needed another midfielder. Then I said we need another centre-back. Well, guess what? We still need another centre-back. I said we needed a goalkeeper that's better. Well, we've now got one, right? So when you go and look at the Champions League one, cool. We're in a group where I think Lens are bottom. I think Sevilla are 4th from bottom because they got a win at the weekend. And we're in against PSV who are top and they've conceded 1 goal. We should get out of that group, but we should have beaten PSV last season and lost. Yeah, we did beat him in 1 game, but we lost in the other. You say about, oh, this is what wins Champions Leagues and this and that and European Cups and blah. That's great. Go and have a look at our record in Europe under this manager. Lost to Olympiacos when we scored in stoppage time, straight from kickoff, bang, they scored, we're out, at home. Right? Then go and have a look at the Villarreal game against our former manager. 0-0 at the Emirates, we're out. Then go and look at Sporting Lisbon. Rests the whole team pretty much for the return leg after getting a 2-2 draw, which we're extremely lucky to get. We got a deflected goal. Yeah, and I think maybe a pen, I can't remember. Yeah, but it was 2-2. He then rests the players for the second leg at home, and we get knocked out again at home on penalties. So when you're going every 3 days, you're going to get more injuries this time round than we did last season. Yes, the injury to Saliba was a big miss. It was. But this time round, we're going to have more misses, big misses, because you can't be resting players in the Champions League that everyone's been telling me is the be-all and end-all when you can sign world-class players in. Well, where are the world-class players we signed then? We haven't got one. Declan Rice is not world-class. He has the potential to be world-class, but he's not world-class. I'll tell you why he's not world-class. People that say Saka, I'll tell you why he's not world-class. They've never done it in the Champions League, mate.
So again, me and you can agree to slightly disagree here, because I believe my view is this: I believe they're both world class because they will do it in the Champions League. So I believe they'll do it. So in my mind, they are. But I'll sit in your world for a moment and say once they deliver in the Champions League, then we'll both agree they're world class. Then yes.
Well, it depends what they do in the Champions League, because
that's great. I'll give
you another example. One thing you said a minute ago. Before we go on, about Bukayo Saka is you said Bukayo Saka, even though he's not really on it, he's still getting the output.
Yeah,
but that's where I differ. Yeah, yes, he set the goal up at the weekend. Yeah, but he was shocking.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
He was shocking against Man United.
Okay, so what would you rather? I know you want a player that is brilliant every game, but that's actually historically never been done by anybody. Not even Messi and Ronaldo at their pomp were good in every game. Zidane, I didn't watch all these matches, but I bet he wasn't at his optimum best every game, right? We know that. We're not stupid. So what would you rather? A player that delivers when he's playing brilliant and still gives you outputs when he's off, or a player that delivers when he's brilliant, but when he's off, he does nothing for the team?
The outputs mean nothing. It's irrelevant either way.
But his outputs have led to you having a better start than last year.
And if we've got a trophy for that, then.
But that's in the again. Hang on. So yes, you haven't won a trophy just yet, and no one.
We did the same scenario last season.
We didn't know, Lee. But you can only assess. What's interesting with you is you're assessing the start to your season, good, bad, and indifferent, based on the history. Yet when I talk about Man United and say the history of the way we run the club makes me less inclined to be excited about sacking a manager. You talk about me using history as a barometer for what I think will happen. You kind of allude to it as being wrong. So again, why do you not have that same logic for Arteta and Arsenal?
Man United are the most successful club in England, Terry. This is why I don't take the mick out of Man United. Yeah, Chelsea are the most successful club in the last 2 decades in England. Maybe Man City have overtaken them now. Yeah, I can't take the mick out of either of them 2 clubs. Can't take the mick out of Liverpool. They're more successful than Arsenal have ever been. Yeah, so the only club I can take the mick out of in the top 6 is Spurs, because they've always been crap, right? So when you're talking about the previous, when it comes to Arsenal, the previous is we're on our longest trophy drought for a decade and we ain't won the league for 20 years. When it comes to Man United, yeah, we're talking about certain scenarios. Yeah, we're not talking about, oh, Arsenal have had a great start. Well, Terry, we were 93% champions last season. Yeah, Man United have been poor last season. Fair play.
Lee, I'm not sitting here and saying that you should sit here now and go, we are 100% winning the league because of how we have started. That isn't what the claim is. My view is you still kind of come across frustrated at how you look when there are defensive improvements, shape improvements, control improvements, and you are having a better start than last year. I don't think anybody, even your biggest detractors, expect you to be jumping up and down going, wow, we're the greatest team ever in the world. But I just don't see why there's any reason to be frustrated. And I'll tell you as to why. I don't really get your answer about Man United, them being one of the most, you can't take the mick out of them. My question was along the lines of, it feels like you're telling me that just because the sacking of other managers hasn't worked, this one won't, and I shouldn't use history. Well, by that logic, the fact you've fouled in previous seasons under Arteta, that doesn't mean you'll foul this year, but you have that same outlook. The counter for me is this. The reason why I don't think sacking managers at Man United will work is I don't see any fundamental change in how the club is operating. If that happened, my mindset would be different. I look at your club as an outsider and think you are a fundamentally better run club now in 2023 than you were even 3 years ago. There's more structure, there's more harmony, there's more of a cohesive approach from the boardroom to what's going on the field of play. And Arteta's made his mistakes, there's no doubt, but he is a fledgling manager who is learning, and you guys keep getting better. Your growth is upwards, your trajectory is upwards. So for me, I'm just saying, I think you're better. I don't expect you to change your mind in 5 games on everything you feel, but you should be really, every Arsenal fan right now should be absolutely, smug as you like, happy with the beginning of your season. Can't you be good, happy in that regard?
In terms of what? I know we were going to win nothing.
A good start to the season.
I know, well done. We had a good start to the season last season. We were August champions, September, October, November, December, January, February, and March.
You grumpy old man.
April and May, we didn't win. No, Terry,